Well, we're excited to be here and to share a little bit about the art of storytelling. I'm Lisa Hurst, Chief Client Officer at AMP. We're a creative marketing agency. It's really about unleashing the potential of brands and creating impact for our brands. James Hough is our creative lead, and Sandy Itkoff is the founder and CEO of Incredible Beast Omnimedia. And she is our client. We've done a lot of work with her. But Sandy, you want to describe a little bit about Incredible Beast? Because people may not know. It's a new brand, a new company.
Yes, hi everyone. Incredible Beast is a lifestyle brand. It is media, community, and commerce that all centers around the connection between food, farming, climate, planetary health, human health. And we have a piece that we're going to show you that we did with AMP that is about the vibe of our company, which is humor, optimism, and a little bit of information.
Yeah, and I think just to build on what Sandy's saying, one of the interesting things about working with her has been not only like raises a challenge or a problem, but Incredible Beast is all about finding a solution, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. Pretty cool.
Well, we're here today to talk about the art of storytelling. And so we have a fun little surprise, which we're going to have a special message from the master of storytelling. Super fun. That was such a fun piece, and thanks to Nick for giving a little special shout out to us and a little special message for the event. I know you really want to be here, but he's filming a new show. So as we look at this Faceline campaign, it really was an entertaining story and one that drove action. We saw over 200 million views in the, 2 million views in the first 2 weeks with a 50% click-through rate and earned media value of over $200 million with 0 ad spend. Bill Weir of CNN actually called this a masterful piece of communication. So tell me a little bit, what was the secret to success, Sandy? What do you think was the magic behind this?
Well, I think that probably as many of you know or are figuring out in the worlds that you're working because it's related to this, I have spent most of my career trying to make an impact to convince people to do things the way I think they should do them, which is, and I've worked through very, very serious traditional media, making hard-hitting intellectual documentaries, didn't move the needle, investing in early-stage clean tech technologies, maybe move the needle. And I think the key is that we want to use the optimism, humor, and not overloading people with too much information. And I think that's really the key. People want to do what's right for their health, right for what the planet needs, but they don't want to be hit over the head. Everybody's tired, everybody's doing the best they can. So if we can actually entertain them and inspire them, then we win. And people at AMP brought the right people around the room, into the room, around the table, to figure out how to do that. And I think that pieces like this work.
Yeah, maybe building off that, like distilling a message of don't treat soil like dirt is so simple. And then you have a mouthpiece of Nick Offerman delivering a message. The key was really distilling and making it simple for everyone to understand. I think that was the key to success.
Fantastic. You know, it's funny that you mentioned optimism. There was some recent research done by Kantar that said that positive pieces of work or storytelling that elicit positive emotion really makes people act. It's more meaningful, it's more impactful, and actually changes their behavior. And I think understanding what is that trigger is really about knowing your audience. So, James, tell me if were there insights about this target that really allowed you to unlock their creative outlet?
Well, I think maybe like a lot of people in the room, like if you were to ask me, do I care about the environment? I would say yes. But then if you were to have any follow-up questions, how do you feel about regenerative farming or the taste of tomatoes or carbon in the atmosphere? I'd be like, I don't know. Can I leave and not have to answer this question? So in general, I think that basically I was not indifferent, but I was sort of ignorant to a lot of information. And for us, it was really trying to figure out what are those pieces of information that would help me tell the story. Like, there's a big gap between our values and our actions, and that widens when other things in life come up, like inflation or pandemic. So I think a goal in this was, how do we make it so someone who spends zero time thinking about the ground takes a moment to think about it? And that was really, I think, the goal.
But I would add that having a spokesperson who is authentic actually really helps as well, bringing the audience. So Nick Offerman is someone who actually really cares about this and is really knowledgeable. And I think it comes through. I also think that he knows how to speak to a wide variety of people who like his work, who like him. That's really helpful as well.
I think he definitely was the character. Going back to the audience for a second, Sandy, who are you trying to connect with this message? Obviously, regenerative agriculture is a big topic. Sustainability is a big topic. Who are you trying to talk to?
Well, first of all, let me say, if any of you want to know what regenerative farming is, come and find me, and I will give you the 5-minute talk, because it's really important to know, because it is the only answer to saving the planet, which I didn't know about 2 years ago. The audience is really people who care about the taste of food, foodies, because the food tastes way better. People who care about their bodies and nutrition. Parents, health-conscious people, because the food has 100% more nutrient density than what you're eating right now. If you buy it from Whole Foods, it's even worse. People who care about the planet. And people who are just motivated by media and culture. You know, someone who watched All in the Family, Will and Grace, 16 and Pregnant, and got to understand what was going on in those worlds and what was said. I think those are audience.
So, with using Nick as a character, really helped you widen that audience a little bit. You weren't just talking to the converted.
Well, it has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with people who care about those things. And I think he is someone who, while he's very political, a lot of his audience, a lot of the people who love him don't know that. And I think that's very helpful. And he tries to walk that line. He does not want to alienate his audience, but he also wants to live his true self. So I think that was extremely helpful.
Yeah, I think, when we talk about stories, the idea of, characters and character development is really important. You either love them or you hate them, but either way, they elicit emotion, and really, those characters are memorable, and it certainly was memorable. Sandy, you talked about Nick being really authentically, into this cause. But James, tell me a little bit about being on set with Nick and why he was a great character.
Well, when Sandy said that we're going to get Nick Offerman, I was skeptical. And then he was on a call, the next call, and it was like, Mr. Megan Mullally entered the room, and we were like, okay. And then I was like, my next thought was like, I hope I don't mess this up, and I hope we figure out the right role for him to play. And we ended up pitching, I think, about a dozen ideas. And the one that they chose, which I saw, it was him playing dirt, and it felt right. But we had other things where he was going to be like Nick Offerman, the Offerman, where he was going around and he'd to go up to someone with a puppy and be like, I'll give you $100 to pet this puppy. And then it eventually led to him planting a cover crop. Pretty heady stuff. But what ended up happening on the set was he came in and it was a weird shoot. Because it was an overcast day, we had one day to do it. And he came in, he had no mustache. And then he was immediately laying down.
No mustache.
That's a fake mustache. It had to be glued on throughout. And then within a few minutes, he's being buried up to his neck in dirt and just being fed lines. And you're like, wow, this is incredible to watch his sort of dedication to this. And it gave, it's truly a passion project. If you're willing to spend hours up to your neck in dirt, and he never complained once.
But I want to say that he felt like he was in really good hands. Amp came up with a ton of amazing stories. And all I can say is that it's such a fabulous, positive experience that we're doing it again right now. on something else, which hopefully you'll be privy to shortly. But when someone feels like they're in good hands, I felt like I was in good hands. They came up with a lot of diverse and really funny ideas, which maybe we'll use later. I mean, they're there. It was really, really, really helpful and gave everybody confidence.
That's very nice. Oh, very nice. One of
Do I
the,
have to pay my bill?
well, one of the things that was funny is in that spot, he was buried the first half of the day in like dead dirt, like dusty dirt, and the second half of the day in rich soil, which I don't even think you could really tell. Like we could have totally done that in post. But the fact that he was dedicated to each of those things, and like same with Morgan, like most of the people that were there were doing it for like pro bono, minimum, like, and so it was really awesome set. Yeah.
So, Huff, I'm looking at this picture with Nick buried in dirt. And you mentioned Morgan. Morgan Sackett is the director and producer of a lot of comedies, friend of Nick's, but worked on Parks and Rec, Beat, Axe, which is premiering here at South by. What was it like working with, as a agency writer, working with these, some Emmy-winning writers and sitcom writers and producers?
It was a little intimidating. It was during a writer's strike, but the part that's weird with advertising, especially if you're doing a PSA, is it's not things people actually say, right? Like if someone came up to you, maybe Sandy might be an exception, sorry, but I feel like people walking down the street don't usually talk about stuff like that in a row. And on TV shows, it's all about sort of capturing real life. So it was a sort of a different world from what you usually see on like Beat or perhaps some great comedies. We were very message driven and nothing hidden, no hidden agenda, right?
And you did it in a minute. So, I think good stories, all good stories make you think and make you feel something, but good marketing stories make you think, feel, and do. So, they're entertaining, but they actually drive or inspire action. Well, how do you do that, huh? How do you make a great marketing story with Marcel?
So on Wednesday, I was dropping my daughter off at school. It was raining out a little bit, and I opened up the back door, and she went, ew. And there was a earthworm on the sidewalk, and because of this relationship with Sandy and learning about the soil and things like that, I picked it up, and I was like, earthworms are pretty rad. Like, they kind of take decay and turn it into, like, this living, it's the coolest animal. So then we, dug a little hole in the dirt and put the earthworm in it. And we're so excited about it. And I was like, wow, I should really talk to my daughter more. No, it doesn't touch her. I was like, wow, this is a great experience. And clearly, so at the end of the day, she was like, I wonder what happened to the worm. And I was like, it's down doing its thing. And in my mind, I was like, oh, that's sort of what we're trying to do with all of this, right? Every person that sort of learns about it, you start caring about it, you'll look into it. And like Sandy, you sort of become like the Johnny Appleseed of spreading this information to people whether they want to hear it or not. But the idea though is generally, I think, getting a positive behavior or a great experience leads to long-term to better outcomes.
How many people here know what regenerative farming is? Oh, you guys don't know. Oh, not that many people. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm free afterward. I don't know if you want to know.
So, when you but back to the driving action, the importance of the right call to action, are there secrets to how that message is crafted and done in a way that feels authentic to the story?
Yeah, I think in general, you have to realize that people are busy doing other things, right? Like everyone's got brisket to eat and meetings to attend, yeah. And no one wants to be interrupted from that. Every day you have a bigger issue. So I think the key is trying to figure out a moment that you can sort of distill in their mind to be like, oh, this is important, and I should look into this. And somehow figure out a way, whether it is burying a celebrity up to his neck in dirt, to make that stick. And I think that has always been the goal to creating something that's actionable.
Fantastic. So what's next, Sandy? What are we doing next?
We're doing poop. So we have an adorable cow Patty named Patty, and she's coming soon to teach you about what happens under the ground. In addition to a number of other projects that, if people are interested in being associated with this kind of work, please come and speak to me. And what we're doing is we're sort of hiding the medicines. We're using entertaining, positive, fun work to engage people. We're in the middle of shooting a film with Errol Morrison. Those of you who know documentary know that he's a fantastic filmmaker and a bunch of other stuff.
Awesome. Hough or James, are you involved in it?
Yeah, well, the blue thing, yes. The Errol Morris thing, less so. But yeah, every sort of project with Sandy is awesome because you sort of don't know who will be involved, but the underlying themes of like optimism about the future are always there, and that's something I think as a group, like we can all get behind.
Just to do a shout out for the people who care, we've got Isabella Rossellini, we've got Adam McKay, we've got maybe Al Yankovic. We've got some fun people who want to put their name behind it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys. We have a couple, like maybe one more minute left. If anybody has any questions in the audience, we're happy to answer. We have 5 minutes. Oh, I thought you said it 2.
Well, let me take this opportunity to briefly tell you what regenerative farming is. No-till, diverse cover crops, which you just learned about, and rotational grazing. Really the key is no-till. When you don't till the soil, when you do till the soil, you kill everything in it, as you can imagine. The worms die, the mushrooms die, all the bacteria dies because it's a dry pile that blows away and washes away and causes deep erosion. And then you plant your seeds, and there's nothing to help it grow. So they have to put, fake fertilizer, chemicals to fertilize it. So when you don't till, build up the soil with organic matter, and really the key is all those roots that stay in the ground are carbon. So we've heard a lot the last couple of days about sustainability. Sustainability is all well and good, but we don't need to sustain, we actually need to draw back. And so what regenerative farming does is it draws legacy carbon out of the air. Carbon that's been here for thousands of years, it will draw it out of the air and store it in the ground. It's the answer, and I do proselytize about it because I learned about it and was shocked that we're not doing more. So there's questions about that.
It is the old way, but the right way, right?
It's the old way. It's nature, which has developed a system over lots and lots of years that is way more efficient than anything that Bill Gates could come up with in his, factories where he's creating fake meat, he's creating fake fertilizers, and it's really unnecessary because we know the answer, which is cow poop.
Yeah, and I think that it's a heady topic, right? So I think the idea of stories and optimistic stories, being the spoonful of sugar, really helps you engage with them and take the action and participate, whether that's keeping it, sharing it. Yeah. So thank you.
Lisa, did you have something to talk about in terms of like the rebrand or anything like that? That's really the future. Yeah? All right, never mind.
No. As we're excited to be part of this work with you and continuing to tell stories and tell meaningful stories that get people to do and act. Fantastic. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.